Picture this. A woman stands alone in a doctor's examination room in Cincinnati, Ohio. The year is 1890. She is 35 years old, educated, refined, devoted. A missionary on furlough, sent home to recover her strength. She has given 6 years of her life to India. She has taught women locked behind cultural walls. She has poured herself out in heat, in sickness, in exhaustion. And now she sits in this cold room, holding her right hand in her left, staring at the tip of her index finger. She reaches into her dress, pulls out a pin, presses the sharp point into the pale, silent skin. No pain, only a dull, wooden pressure. A bead of blood rises, dark and crimson, but the nerve endings remain silent. Completely, terrifyingly silent. She already knows what the silence means. She has read enough medical books to know. She has seen enough in India to know. She lowers the pin, and then, against every instinct a human being possesses, she smiles. The doctor looks up from his examination. His voice is careful, clinical, final. Leprosy. In 1890, that word means no cure, no future, no freedom. It means isolation, disfigurement, and slow decay. It means your life, as you understood it, is over. She looks at him and makes a decision she will never reverse. She does not tell her family. She cannot. If she stays, the mother she loves becomes the person she infects. So she goes home to Ohio, smiles through the dinner table conversation, and when the morning comes, says the only thing she can bring herself to say, "I am returning to the work." She does not let them kiss her goodbye. She does not let them hold her. She walks out of that house, carrying the full weight of the secret alone, and boards a ship back to India. She will never come home again. She climbs a mountain 6,400 feet above sea level into the Himalayas, where the dying have been thrown away by the world. She builds a hospital with her own numb hands. She plants a garden. She buries lepers and sings them home. She stays for 52 years, and the disease that was supposed to destroy her, it bows the knee. Have you ever felt that the very thing destroying you might actually be the thing God is using to define you? Have you ever stood at the edge of your worst nightmare and heard, impossibly, the voice of a calling? Her name was Mary Reed, a quiet farmer's daughter from Ohio, who walked into the most feared disease on earth and turned a mountain of dying outcasts into a garden of worshipers. Comment below with, "I will not turn back." If you are ready to carry your wound as a weapon, climb your mountain without a guarantee, and stay long after everyone else has gone home. And stay with us until the very end of this video, where we will reveal the hidden promise that kept Mary's fire burning for 52 years, which will enable you to run with endurance the race that God has specifically set before you. She was born December 4th, 1854, in Lowell, Ohio. The first girl in a family of 4 brothers and 4 sisters, a farmer's daughter, hard-working, pious, surrounded by the comfortable rhythms of rural American life. There was nothing dramatic about her beginning, no angelic visitation, no thunderclap from heaven, just a quiet girl who gave her heart to God at 16 and never took it back. She became a school teacher, capable, intelligent, respected. For 10 years she shaped young minds in public schools. She could have spent her entire life there, and most people would have called it a good life. But God was whispering, not loudly, not with visions or voices, just a steady erosion of her own ambitions, a holy discontent that no amount of good, comfortable work could silence. She became conscious, dimly at first, of a voice pleading on behalf of women in India, women imprisoned in the inner courtyards of their homes, hidden from the world, sitting in darkness with no one coming for them. She fought it. Who wouldn't? To leave the security of Ohio for the heat and disease of the Orient was a kind of madness. But the spirit was relentless, and Mary, with a trembling yes, finally surrendered. In November 1884, at 30 years old, she arrived in Kanpur, India. She dove into Zanana work, visiting women in seclusion, bringing light into places of deep cultural darkness. She learned the language. She loved the people. She worked herself to the bone. The work was invisible. Nobody was applauding. Just a woman in obscure courtyards, teaching quietly, day after day. This is where God builds his best servants, not on platforms, but in the shadows, in the faithfulness of the unseen. By 1890, her body had collapsed. She was sent back to America to recover. She left India with tears in her eyes, promising she would return. She had no idea what form that return would take. Before the collapse that sent her home, something had happened. During an earlier period of illness, when doctors first sent her to the Himalayan foothills to rest, Mary had stumbled upon a leper colony near Pithoragarh. She was not looking for it. She was supposed to be resting. But she saw them. Dozens of men, women, and children. Their bodies ravaged, their faces disfigured, abandoned by their families, discarded by their religion, waiting to die on a mountain that the rest of the world had simply forgotten. While others recoiled, Mary felt a pull she could not explain. She wrote in her journal, her private words, not meant for anyone. Who will go to them? She was not answering the question yet. She was only asking it. But once you have asked that question honestly, you cannot unask it. That question would become the axis on which her entire life would turn. Back in Cincinnati on furlough, the symptoms would no longer be ignored. A strange spot near her ear, a tingling pain in the forefinger of her right hand. Persistent, worsening, strange. Physicians were baffled. She underwent surgery. Nothing helped. So she turned to the medical books herself. She read in secret, alone, the clinical descriptions of Mycobacterium leprae with a morbid fascination. Every symptom matched. The temptation to despair was overwhelming. Why would God allow this? She had given up marriage, home, and comfort to serve Him. Was this her reward? To be unclean? The nights were the hardest, lying awake imagining the progression, the loss of fingers, the collapse of the nose, the blindness. But in the darkness, a verse from Jeremiah hung like a lifeline. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. She grabbed hold of it, and the more she held it, the more the shape of a frightening thought formed in her mind, not as a curse, but as an assignment. She confided in her Cincinnati doctor, who sent her to a specialist in New York, a physician who had studied leprosy in the Sandwich Islands. The specialist examined her. He confirmed it. Leprosy. In 1890, that word meant total erasure. No cure, no marriage, no ministry, no freedom, only isolation, disfigurement, and slow decay. But here is what the biography records. Close upon the first feeling of dismay came a mental vision, a flash as sudden and certain as a voice of the hopeless sufferers in the Himalayan mountains. And it was borne in upon her, right there in that room, that these were to be the sheep of her flock. The disease she feared was the credential she needed. She told almost no one. Only her sister Raina was entrusted with the truth. And then came the moment that may be the most costly single act in this entire story. She asked her family one thing before she left. If you will let me go without a special goodbye, as though I were returning tomorrow, it will be so much easier for me. She then self-debarred from even a farewell kiss. She walked out of that home, knowing she would never return, as though she were stepping out to run an errand. She bore the full weight of the secret alone, to spare them the grief she could not escape. She was not performing courage. She was laying everything down, quietly, with no audience and no applause. En route to India, Mary providentially met a young schoolteacher from New England, an earnest Christian companion for the journey. They traveled through England and into France together. One early morning in Paris, in a small room, a wax taper burning dimly on a table beside her open Bible. While outside, Paris turned night into day with light and music. Mary finally let the secret go. Her companion described it this way. Mary Reed's gentle voice, faltering only at her mother's name and coming sorrow, told the secret of her affliction. When her companion urged prayer for healing, Mary's response was quietly devastating. I have not yet received any assurance of healing. Perhaps I can serve my Father better thus. On the shores of Lake Lucerne, hand clasped in hand, their farewell was whispered, God be with you till we meet again. Mary sailed for India, in her own words, under conditions in which no other missionary ever returned. But she did not sail empty. She carried a promise. She had found a verse, buried in Ezekiel 11:16, where God tells his scattered people, "I will be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come." Mary personalized it completely. She was an exile in the will of God, cut off from home, from family, from society. And God had promised that wherever he scattered her, he himself would be her sanctuary. Not a building, not a support network, him. She would carry this promise instead of medicine, instead of community, instead of family, for 52 years. Before ascending to Chandag, she stayed with Miss Budden in Pithoragar. One evening she unbuttoned her sleeve and extended her spotted hand. "I have not been called to the lepers by sympathy," she said. "I have been called by fellowship. I am one of them." In 1892, Mary Reed climbed 6,400 feet into the Himalayan foothills to Chandag Heights. She arrived to find 37 lepers in mud huts and stables, surrounded by breathtaking mountain scenery that only deepened the tragedy of what she found inside it. Away to the north, seemingly only days away, the eternal snows of the Himalayas rose pure and bright and peace-suggestive. Mary would later write that at sunrise, lit up with a halo of glory, it was easy to imagine them as the visible foundations of the eternal city. A rich and beautiful valley lay more than 1,000 feet below. The picture frame was magnificent. The picture inside it was broken humanity. She was appointed superintendent. She stood before the inmates, a small figure against the backdrop of those eternal snows, and told them why she had come. She told them she had been set apart by God to minister among them. Tears coursed down many cheeks. They seemed, in that moment, to forget their own affliction in their sympathy for hers. They had never seen a sahib, a white woman, descend into their world with anything other than pity from a distance. Mary came down into it. Then the work began, and it was savage. For the first 6 months, the disease made decided progress in her own body. The wound on her index finger burst open no fewer than 20 times. She was in constant nerve pain. Her vocal cords were attacked. She worked through it, 12, 14 hours a day. Some nights, watching the disease in the mirror, she went to her knees. "Lord, if I am to serve you, give me the strength to stand. If I am to rot, let me rot praising you." This was not religious habit. This was survival. She was simultaneously superintendent, head nurse, chaplain, secretary, bookkeeper, and district missionary. She supervised 6 village schools, 3 Sunday schools, a team of women Bible teachers, and covered a 40-mile circuit of students, all of it while managing her own advancing disease. Single-handed, she developed the institution from those 37 lepers in mud huts to an average of 85 inmates in substantial buildings. She constructed men's quarters, women's cottages, 2 hospitals, 1 an isolation ward with a dispensary, 2 chapels, expanded the property by 48 acres, and built Chandag's own independent water supply from a spring she discovered half a mile away. Before Mary, the colony drank from the city river below. She did not just preach, she solved problems. Leopards prowled the perimeter at night, and a wall was built to keep them out. Mary laughed. "God is my wall." And then there was the garden. With disfigured hands, she pressed flower seeds into Himalayan soil, bright marigolds, roses, wild mountain lilies. When visitors expressed surprise, she said simply, "Why should we not have beauty? We are on our way to the king's palace." She named her cottage Sunny Crest. She built beauty in the middle of a death camp, not as escapism, but as theology. She was declaring with her hands in the dirt that the God she served restores. The sound of lepers singing, "The great physician now is near," drifted down into the valley below. People in the villages stopped to listen, marveling at joy rising from the place of death. Within 5 years, 64 of 82 patients had turned their hearts to Christ. Mary examined each one carefully, asked hard questions, and only then presented them for baptism. 18 in a single month, 9 men, 9 women. The symmetry felt like a signature from heaven. One was a man named Tarwa. He heard a Sunday school lesson on the conversion of Cornelius, was so struck by it he could not sleep, and early Monday morning, alone in his room at Chandag, He surrendered. Mary wrote of her heart's unspeakable joy. That is why she stayed, not for statistics, for Tarwa. And one day, a newly baptized high-caste woman was asked by Mary to sit through the night with a dying low-caste woman. She hung her head. She was unwilling. Mary said quietly, "You are now a Christian. All these ideas have to go." The woman consented without another word. The kingdom of God, advancing not in thunder, but in one sleepless night of obedience at 6,400 feet. Men who had arrived bitter and violent became gentle. Women who had been discarded found dignity. This was the Lions of Chandag, the miracle no photograph could capture. And over decades of ministry, the disease never spread to the healthy populations who increasingly came to Chandag. Medically unexplained, spiritually unmistakable. For 5 years, the disease ravaged her. In those early years, she refused all treatments on herself, though she administered them freely to her patients. She trusted solely in prayer, refusing even the mission salary, living on her own meager savings, determined to be a burden to no one. Friends on 3 continents formed an intercontinental prayer chain on her behalf. The battle was being fought in prayer rooms she would never visit. And then, the disease stopped. The spreading halted. The nerve pain subsided. The district surgeon, a skeptic who understood leprosy's relentless trajectory, examined her, checked the old records, checked her again, and said with a voice thick with disbelief, "Miss Reed, the disease, it is arrested. I cannot explain it." She fell to her knees. By 1896, the remission was confirmed. She woke one morning, touched her face. The active disease was arrested, the bacteria silenced, the progression halted. She ran to her organ and played a hymn so loudly, it woke the entire colony. She wrote to her friends, "Oh, how my heart goes out in praise and gratitude to him who so wonderfully verifies his blessed promise, 'Lo, I am with you always.'" The little sanctuary of Ezekiel 11 had kept its word. Now here is the moment you need to sit with. She was healed. Legally, medically. Free to leave. No remaining obligation. She had already given more than any mission board could have asked. She did not leave. In 1906, she did travel home to Ohio, visited family, saw friends in England, even toured the Holy Land. The world opened up briefly. She tasted home. She knew exactly what she was giving up. And she went back to Chandag. When her sister later wrote urging her to come home for good, Mary's reply was brief and final. "My work and duty here are not yet finished. The meeting will be in the heavenly home." The healing did not change her mission. It only changed her body. In 1899, after 9 years of near total isolation, Mary was invited to address the North India Conference. A waiting audience expected her to speak. She stood before them, this woman who had spent 9 years on a mountain with the dying, who had wrestled God in her bungalow, who had planted flowers with numb hands, who had buried lepers in the little cemetery on the ridge while singing them home. She opened her mouth. Words failed entirely. Not from weakness, from sheer, overwhelming gratitude. 9 years of God's faithfulness broke over her like a wave. All she could say was, "Let us sing." She led the entire conference in a Hindustani translation of "Oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing." It was the only sermon left in her, and it was more than enough. Some medical missionaries, disturbed by her dramatic improvement, began publicly claiming she had never had leprosy at all. The story spread to newspapers. Mary's grief was not wounded pride. It was the grief of watching God's testimony dishonored. She wrote a careful, dignified letter, crediting the arrested disease to the prayers of thousands. The miracle had become a target, and Mary modeled a discipline few understand, the courage to guard what God has done, even when the world offers a simpler explanation. The decades rolled on. New missionaries came and went. Mary remained. Her phrase, not with a sigh, but with a song, became not just her motto, but her testimony, repeated across 52 years, a refrain that outlasted every trial that sought to silence it. When her mother died, Mary wept alone in her mountain cabin. She could not go home. That last Ohio goodbye had been the only one. Visitors who trekked up the mountain expecting a place of gloom found instead a garden. They found a woman of deep joy who did not talk about her sacrifice. She talked about God's sufficiency. "I have not had a day of suffering too much," she would say from her veranda, shawl wrapped tight against the Himalayan chill. "It has all been love, all love." In 1917, at 63, the government of India awarded her the Kaiser-e-Hind Medal, the highest civilian honor it could bestow. A rare honor for a woman. She never sought the spotlight. She did not seek it now. One night the roof caught fire. She watched her books and letters, every connection to home, burn to ash. A leper woman with bandaged stumps wrapped her blanket around Mary's shoulders. "Mother, we will build it back. You built us back." Mary wept, not for the house, for the love. In 1932, the leprosy returned and attacked her sight. She went blind. She did not leave. In 1938, her body too frail for the full weight of the superintendency, she stepped down, but not from Chandag. In 1941, the American Mission to Lepers formally honored her lifetime of service. And then on April 8, 1943, Mary Read lay down for the last time. She was 88 years old. She died in the place she chose, among the people she chose, still saying, as she always had, not with a sigh, but with a song. Her funeral was held at the foot of the chapel she built with her own numb hands. 200 people attended, Christians and non-believers alike. The non-believers were the testimony no sermon could manufacture. She was buried on a grassy slope in front of that chapel. She had served in India for 58 years, 52 of them at Chandag, the mountain where she arrived as a dying woman and stayed as a living monument to the faithfulness of God. The hospital was later renamed the Mary Read Memorial Hospital. It still stands. The mountain she climbed is still her home. You stayed. Here is what kept her. Not courage. She was terrified at the diagnosis. Not strength. She spent decades in physical agony. Not strategy. She had no roadmap. The hidden discipline beneath everything Mary Read ever endured was this. She had anchored her soul to a specific promise before the storm arrived, and she never let go. Ezekiel 11:16. A little-known verse. A covenant God made to his exiles. "I will be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come." Mary carried that promise instead of medicine, instead of community, instead of a plan. Every morning she returned to it. Every crisis she brought it back out. 52 years of faithful endurance, built on one sentence from God she refused to release. That promise is available to you, right now, today. God is not looking for someone impressive. He is looking for someone who will not turn back. Your leprosy, the diagnosis, the limitation, the wound, the weakness you have been hiding, may be the very credential God is waiting to use. Mary Read did not become useful despite her disease. She became irreplaceable because of it. The specialist in New York who confirmed her diagnosis thought he was ending her story. He was actually unlocking it. That is what God does with the very thing that terrifies you. He makes it the door. What are you carrying right now that you have been treating as a disqualification? What have you been waiting to heal before you step forward? What if the wound is not the delay? What if it is the calling? The mountain is waiting. The lepers are waiting. And the question that will not leave you alone, who will go to them, was never a rhetorical question. Comment below with, "I will not turn back," if you are ready to stop waiting for perfect conditions and climb. If this video has been a blessing to you, consider joining our Cloud of Witnesses membership for exclusive content, early access, and a community of people who are committed to running with endurance the race God has set before them. Hit the join button on the channel homepage or click the membership link in the description below. Mary Read climbed a mountain with a death sentence in her bloodstream and a promise from God in her pocket. She stayed when she could have left. She planted flowers when everything around her was dying. She sang when she had no words. She carried 52 years of faithful obscurity and called it, without a sigh, God's sweet will. Comment below with, "I will not turn back," if that life, costly, hidden, and completely surrendered, is the life you are saying yes to today. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, like and subscribe to Cloud of Witnesses for more life-changing stories of faith, that will equip you to boldly fulfill the call of God in your life. This week, find the one specific promise from Scripture that speaks directly to your current impossible situation. Write it down. Carry it every day. Return to it every morning before you open anything else. Mary did not endure 52 years on inspiration alone. She endured on one sentence from God she refused to put down. We have been standing on a Himalayan mountain with a woman who carried her cross upward. But up next, we stay in those same Himalayas, with a man who walked into them and never came back. What if a boy so hated by his own father that he was offered to a holy man as a curse became the most dangerous preacher in Asia? What if the vision that should have destroyed his mind became the commission that defined his life? What if the price he paid, family, country, comfort, and finally, his very body, is the price God is asking you to consider right now? Check out this next video to discover the impossible story of Sadhu Sundar Singh, the hidden discipline that turned a death wish into a divine call, and how the same God who met him on that railway track is waiting to meet you.